Okay, before we start the new chapter, I just want to correct one minor point in the last video that I showed you, where I solved the problems and showed you how to write the problems. In this one with the children of rose, fee the rose, fish the rose, I had written here, donc rose a trois filles. I had put an accent grave or a, now I have removed it. That is my mistake. In the video it's there, I feel a little ashamed about that. And I had written rose a sept enfants. Again I had put an accent grave, now I have removed it. One of you had actually sent this, copied these and sent them back to me to check, and you have made the same mistake. So please correct in your notebook too. A with an hexagram means two. A without an hexagram means have or has. Okay. Now another more mathematical matter. I had asked you to in video problem, I'd asked you to show that if you take fractional values like 4.5 into 6.5, it is equal to 5.5 squared minus 1. And all of you did that. All of you who actually watched the video did it and did it correctly. There was no problem about that. But when you are asked to show something like montrer que 2 plus 3 au carré est égal à 10 carré sur 2 carré, I'm taking a very trivial example, a simple example. Then the way you do it is you don't develop both the sides at the same time until you come to the same result. What you do is you take one side first. You take côté gauche. You say côté gauche 2 plus 3 au carré est égal à 5 au carré est égal à 25. Then you take côté droite 10 au carré sur 2 au carré, ça c'est égal à 100 sur 4 est égal à 25. Donc, côté gauche est égal à côté droite. Both are 25. So, donc, 2 plus 3 au carré est égal à 10 carré sur 2 carré. So, don't develop both of these simultaneously on one side, on either side of the equal sign. Take each one of them separately. This is a common mistake students make. When you're asked to prove that something is equal to something, you should take them separately, develop them so that they arrive at the same result, and then you can say donc the left side is equal to the right side. Côté gauche est égal à côté droite. Okay. So now we start on the fourth chapter. It's got some long words in it, but basically all it does, it deals with fractions. In French, actually, they don't even use the word fraction, they use the word quotient. We'll come to that. So chapter 4 in this book, which you were supposed to do last year, is from Transmath 4, quatrième, classe 4e, et utiliser les nombres rationnels. So we will see first what are nombres rationnels, and subsequently what is meant by norms, that what norms are not rational, nombre irrationnel. Okay, so let's start. The definition of nombre rationnel. Un nombre rationnel peut s'écrire sous la forme a sur b ou moins a sur b, ou that means it can be written as a fraction. Où a et b sont des nombres entiers, they're integers. Not 2.5 over 3, but 2 over 3. 2 over 3 represents a nombre rationnel, but not 2.5 over 3, because a has to be an integer, nombre entier. Et b n'est pas égal à 0. That is true because division is not defined by 0. So if you divide something by 0, it is not defined as a mathematical operation. Though as we saw in an earlier video, you can loosely and inaccurately say that if you divide something by 0 you get infinity, but that is a very dangerous statement to make in terms of pure mathematics. So why are they called rationnel? Because in English you can say ratio, ratio-nel. In English it's called rational numbers. Ratio, that means they can be written as the ratio, that is the quotient of two integers. So if that confused you a bit, what I've just said, let's take a few examples. So So let's take example of a nombre rationnel. I say 2 is a nombre rationnel. Why? Because it can be written as a fraction 2 over 1. It can also be written 4 over 2, 6 over 3, 1000 over 500. Remember, these numbers all have to be integers. You can't have decimal numbers. So for a nombre rationnel, you have to write it in as a fraction where both numerator and denominator are integers. Okay, 16.5. Is this a nombre rationnel? I can write it as 16.5 over 1. No, you're not allowed to write a ratio with a number that's not an integer. 16.5 is not an integer, so you can't write it like that. To prove that 16.5 is a rational number, is a nombre rationnel. But you can see this is not true. This doesn't prove that 16.5 is a rational number, because 16.5 is not an integer nombre entier. But 16.5 you can write as 23 over 2, correct? 23 divided by 2 will give you 16.5. So that means 16.5 is a rational number because it can be written as a fraction with two integers, with two nombres entiers. Numerateur and denominateur, numérateur et dénominateur sont des nombres entiers. Let's take another one. Moins 23,0006. Is this a rational number? Can you write it in a fractional form like this with integer on top and integer below? Yes, you can. You can write it as minus 230,006 divided by 10,000. If you do this division, you will get this. So this means this is a rational number, a nombre rationnel. What about this? 2.67891867234521. Well, if we take this, we can also divide it by this long number, 1 followed by so many zeros. This number divided by this number will give us that, though we will see so on. And again, because both of these are integers on top and bottom, numerator and denominator, this is a rational number. So what does it tell you? It tells you that any decimal number that finishes, that comes to a stop, that doesn't continue infinitely, is a rational number, because you can always divide it by 1 followed by the right number of zeros, the correct number of zeros, to get the original number. So does this mean that all not finishing numbers are not rational? That means if I have a number which keeps on and on and on and on and doesn't end, does it necessarily mean that that is not rational? No, that's not so. Not rational numbers in French, in English at least, are known as irrational. So, no, that's not true. If you take 0.333333 and repeating infinitely, you can write this with 0.3 with a little dash on top. This is a number that doesn't finish. It keeps on and on and on, but it is a rational number because it can be written as 1 over 3. So it is not necessary for a number to be to finish for it to be rational. What is necessary is that it has to be repeating. If it repeats like this, or if there's a pattern in these numbers, then it can be written as a rational number. For example, if you take 1 over 7, you will get some repeating numbers. Let's try that out. I have a calculator here. So, let me clear it. 1 divided by 7. This is a rational number. So you see, this is it. If you take 0.142857, then again it will repeat 142857. 142857. It will go on and on and on and on and on. So if I write it in the way you've been taught to write, I'll have to write it in the corner here. I'll write it in red. It will be 1 over 7 is equal to 0. Not easy to write. 857 7, and I draw a line on top of this. So this number also doesn't stop, it goes on and on and on and on, but it is a rational number because these digits repeat. 142 857, 142 857, that 57 has been rounded up to 6 here. Okay. Just in case you're wondering what is this huge calculator I have, see, this is my hand, it's a huge calculator, and it's a tablet on which I'm running a calculator app. This app is called RealCalc, and it's a fine calculator. It's free, and if you want to purchase it also, it's less than 100 rupees, but it's not necessary. The free is good enough. It's a wonderful scientific calculator. In fact, I don't own a scientific calculator. I have this app installed both on my phone, with which I am filming this, so that's why I have to use it. I have to use my tablet as a calculator. Okay, so now, so what exactly, can I give you an example of a irrational number? Well, the simplest example is, so what is an example of an irrational number? The simplest example is pi. This is a number we all know, 3.1415962. It goes on for infinity. No, infinity, wrong word. It goes on without end. That's why I've written here no end. None of the digits repeat. There is no pattern. So pi cannot be written as a fraction. If pi cannot be written as a fraction, pi is an irrational number. Some of you might have used 22/7 as an approximation of pi. But 22/7 is an approximation. It is not the value of pi. After a few digits, it will change. It will differ from the actual value of pi. For most practical purposes, you can use 22/7 for pi, but I think it is good to some fifth or sixth digit. So let's do that. 22 divided by 7, 3.142. Yeah, so up to the fourth digit it's good enough, 3.1428, and actually is 3.1415. So this is good enough to 0.1% about. Okay, so as I said, this chapter is not really about rational numbers and irrational numbers. It is about fractions, which in this book they call quotient, Quotent. So we can even go to the chapter where the page where they describe this, and you can pause here and read slowly if you like. Norme rationnelle positive ou négative. Un nombre rationnel peut s'écrire sous la forme a sur b ou moins a sur b avec a et b nombre entier positif où b n'est pas égal à 0. Exemple, quotient 2 moins 2 par moins 3, moins 2 sur moins 3. 2/3, quotient 2 moins 7 par 9, 7 divisé par 9, quotient de 5 par moins 4, 5 sur moins 4 est égal à moins 5 sur 4. Okay. Now, a fundamental aspect of a fraction is that if you multiply it by the numerator and denominator by the same number, the fraction doesn't change. So if I take 0.3 over minus 4 and I multiply it by 10, then I'll get 0.3 into 10 over 4 over 10 is equal to minus 3 over 40, which is the same as 0.3 over minus 4. Any fraction, if you multiply the numerator and denominator by the same value, the fraction does not change. Similarly, if you divide the numerator and denominator by the same number, the fraction doesn't change. So they started with minus 25 over 35, they divided the top by 5, they divided the bottom by 5, and they got minus 5 over 7. So basically you have simplified this, divided top and bottom by 5 to get minus 5 over 7. All this you know. Okay, so in this chapter, the rest of the chapter teaches you fractions. First of all, how to compare two fractions, then how to add two fractions and subtract two fractions. Now subtraction is of course the same as addition, only you're adding a negative number. Okay, so the first thing is they talk about comparison. So Suppose I ask you which is bigger, 3 or 4. You will say 4 is bigger. Why? Why is 4 bigger than 3? Because that is the definition of big. That is the definition of bigness, if I can coin that word. If you try to do it in a number line, if you draw the number line, if you have 0 point there and you have two numbers A and B, the bigger number is always to the right, the smaller number is always to the left. So here you can straight away say B is greater than A. B is greater than A. So if I take two numbers here, -8 and -6, and I want to put a sign in between them, greater than or smaller than, what would I do? Is -8 greater than, is -8 greater than -6? No, it isn't, because -8 is to the left of -6, so it is a smaller number, so I will put -8 is smaller than -6. I'm just repeating things you already know. The same thing applies for fractions also. If I redraw the number line and expand the scale and I put 1 here and -1 here, this is where you get here this is plus quarter, this is plus half, 1 over 4, 1 over 2, this is 1. So again you can say very easily 1 quarter is 1 over 4 is less than 1 over 2 is less than 1, because each one is to the left of the next one. What if I give you, what about 3 over 5 and 4 over 7? Which of these is bigger? Well, one way to do it is to plug this into the calculator and do this on the calculator and see which one's decimal value is bigger. The other way is to make the denominators same. To compare two fractions, you have to make their denominators the same. Now, making their denominators the same, I'm using English words, but this doesn't mean these don't have any mathematical definition, making their denominators same. What does that mean? So what it means is that, okay, I have an example here with a pizza, that if you have 1/3 of a pizza and 1/4 of a pizza, which one is bigger? Well, obviously you can see here graphically 1/3 is bigger than 1/4. But if I said I'll give you 3/5 of a pizza or 4/7 of the same pizza, which one would you like to have? So you're not going to draw in one case five pieces of equal pizza and choose 3, and then another case draw 7 pieces of equal pizza and then choose 4 and then compare which one is bigger. No, you can't do that. So the way to do it is to rewrite these fractions with the same denominator. This is what you knew, I think it's called PPCM. You can do a PPCM, but which is Plupati comma multiple. But simpler is just to get any comma multiple, not Plupati, but any comma multiple. So 3 over 5, I can write as 3 into 7 over 5 into 7. I'm multiplying top and bottom by the same number, so the fraction doesn't change. So I get 21 over 35. 3 into 7 is 21, 5 into 7 is 35. 4 over 7, what I do is multiply both top and bottom by 5. So I get 4 into 5 on top, 7 into 5 bottom. I get 20 over 25. Now you can see that 21 over 35, if I divide a pizza in 35 pieces, then obviously 21 pieces is bigger than 20 pieces of again a pizza divided into 35 pieces. So therefore 3 over 5 is greater than 4 over 7. Comme 21 sur 35 est plus grand que 20 sur 35, donc 3 sur 5 est plus grand que 4 sur 7. Why did I multiply this by 7 and this by 5? Because if you multiply this by 7, you get 35. If you multiply this by 5, you get 35. So the simplest is you multiply with the other denominator. This doesn't give you the Plupati comma multiple. In this case it did, but it gives you a comma multiple which is good enough to compare numbers or even to add them or subtract them. So set 7 into 5 is equal to 35 is the common multiple of 5 and 7. I'd written the, but I cut it out and I write is a common multiple of 5 and 7. What is another common multiple of 5 and 7? So basically what number can be divided by 5 and 7? Both. 35 obviously, but 70 also, double of 35, 70 can also be divided. So here you could take 3 over 5 is equal to 3 into 14 over 5 into 14. Remember, we are multiplying top and bottom by the same number, so we get the same fraction, which will give us 42 over 70. 4 over 7, I'll multiply top and bottom by 10. So I do 4 into 10 into 7 into 10, I get 40 over 70, and again I see this is bigger than this, so therefore 3 over 5 is greater than 4 over 7. So now for addition and subtraction of fractions, we have to again find a common multiple of the denominators. So if I say 1 over 2 plus 2 over 3, how did you do this? So first let's find a common multiple of 2 and 3. The simplest way is just to multiply 2 and 3. The common multiple is 6. So we can rewrite this as 1 into 3 over 2 into 3 plus 2 into 2 over 3 into 2. Why I am taking 2 here? I am taking 2 here. Let me hold a pen. I am taking 2 here because there is a 2 there. I am taking 3 here because there is a 3 here. So when I do that, it will be 3 over 6 plus 4 over 6. So then I can rewrite this like this because the denominator is common, 6. So I can write it 3 plus 4 over 6 is equal to 7 over 6. I assume you know all this, it's just revision. Basically this is something you should have learnt when you learnt your fractions. I'm not sure when you learnt it, maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Okay, so now let's do with three fractions, or each with different denominator. I want to add 2 plus 7 plus 3 over 8 plus 1 over 9. How do I do this? The first thing is we find the common multiple of all of these three, 7, 8 and 9. The simplest common multiple is when you multiply 7 into 8 into 9. So let's see. So find a common multiple of 7, 8 into 9. So what I do is I rewrite this. I multiply here by 8 into 9. So top also multiply by 8 into 9. Here I have to multiply by 7 into 9. 8 into 7 into 9. So top also I multiply by 3 into 7 into 9. Here I have to multiply by 7 into 8 at the bottom. So top also I multiply by 7 into 8. If you like, you can pause here and understand what I have done. Okay, so if I do this, if I do these calculations, I'll get 144 over 504 plus 189 over 504 plus 56 over 504, which gives me 144 plus 189 plus 56 over 504, which gives me 389 over 504. So the sum of these three fractions is this fraction, and you can't do it any other way. Let's see, let's verify this with the calculator. So again, now in the calculator I'm going to try, I've done this already so I won't show it on the calculator. 2 over 7 is equal to 0.286. I'm rounding it up because it continues for a little while longer. 3 over 8 is 0.375. 1 over 9 is actually 0.111, repeating 1, but I'm taking just 3 significant digits. So then I add it up, I get 0.772. Now if I do this, 389 divided by 504, that I can do, 389 divided by 504, I get 0.7718, which is the same as 0.772 when I round it up. So these two numbers are equal. So that is where we end this chapter, the video for this chapter, and now I'll give you some in-video problems just to make sure that you've watched it and you've understood. So the problem number A is, I have 0.06081. You write it as a fraction. So this is this a norm rational? If yes, write it as a fraction. B is 3 over 8. Okay, I'll put compare 3 over 8 with 7 over 17. Don't do this on your calculator. Do it the way I have shown it, by taking the common denominator. Okay, see, this will be a arithmetic sum. 1 over 10 plus 2 over 11 plus 6 over 5 plus 7 over 22 minus 12 over 110. So this one you calculate as we have done here, up here, and these three problems you send to me just to show that you have watched the video. This one you have to write as a fraction with integer as numerator and integer as denominator. Okay, I stop here.